Download and watch it live on Sport TV Now app.
Hello and welcome to the Miami E-Prix. In a few moments' time, qualifying will be getting underway for the first time here at the Homestead Miami Speedway, and it promises to be a spectacular showdown as 22 drivers are
It's
gunning.
very warm here in Miami, and it's getting warmer all the morning. We've got two groups of qualifying coming up for you in the first stages of it. Then we're going to go into the dual sessions. Now, Group A is decided by the odd-numbered drivers in the driver standings. So you can see we've got Roland, Acosta, Hughes, Evans, Dennis, Mortara, Van Dorn, Buemi, Muller, Maloney, and David Beckman for the Cooper Kiro team, all out in this session. So it'll be hugely exciting to see what is going to happen as the drivers venture onto this very abrasive track for the first time under qualifying trim. We had practice 2 earlier on this morning, and as we wait for the green light to get underway and to signal the start of this qualifying session, we wait to see what is going to happen ahead of this one. So 12 minutes for the drivers here, James Rossiter. What are you expecting to see as they head out onto the track for the first time?
A lot of tyre management. I think we saw in the practice sessions it's really difficult to get the tyres in the correct window, to have the right balance between front and rear as you go into your push lap. And also the lap is the longest lap that we have here for the whole season. Trying to make those rear tyres hang on.
Will we see that changing? You can see as we go through turn 4 here, this is where the attack mode will be activated in the race. Drivers will take a wider line on the outside. They'll have to hit 3 timing loops, then they get an extra 50 kilowatts of power, and they get 4-wheel drive. For the group stages of qualifying, we're in 300 kilowatts of rear-wheel drive, and then we head into the duels. We go 350 kilowatts and 4-wheel drive. Same rules as attack mode. So lap times will be slightly slower compared to what we've seen in practice there, James.
Both power modes. One of the guys, Oliver Rowland, who's really struggled this weekend, championship leader, he struggled to find the right braking balance in his car so far today in practice. And I think that he's the one with the most pressure going into this session.
Yeah, see what he is going to be able to do, because, as you say, not been happy at all with the car balance. He was saying on the team radio in practice too, he said, I don't know what you guys have done to this car during the break, but it doesn't feel the same as it did in Jeddah at all. Don't forget about the formulary predictor, bottom left-hand corner of your screen. Scan the QR code, tell us who you think is going to make it into the duels, and indeed when we get into those dual stages, who's going to progress forwards into that front row fight for pole position as we head into the finals. It'll take a bit of time to build up the temperature into the tyres and get everything to the right operating window.
If you can give me some info on the cars ahead of me, if they're doing a triple or double.
Something about double there, but we were hearing double of Mitch Evans in the commentary box as well. So just talking to his race engineer, Joseph Rocker. So down towards that first corner they go. This is where we've seen quite a few drivers getting close to the limit, and some beyond it there, Billy, because there's grass that's reaching right on the outside.
Yeah, I think quite a few have been over the limit, to be honest, in some way or another. And Taylor Barnard's probably the one who's managed to find that limit the best out of the bunch. He was the fastest in that first sector in FP2, so he seems to have it hooked up through there. It's going to be interesting to see any differences that might be through that corner, considering we're now in 300 kilowatts. A lot of those push laps are in 350. Does that make it a trickier part of the lap to handle? That's what I'll be looking out for right now.
Well, 2 big talking points in this session is this man here, Nico Muller. He ended up in the wall in free practice 2, brought out the red flag after going too deep into the chicanes down at turn 10 and 11. Sent it into the barrier. The team's had a big old repair job on in the garage. They've got the car out, but he hasn't done a full attack mode lap.
Okay, just keep scrubbing, be aggressive on the weave, and use go out, and we'll do triple build, that's fine.
So Senna going to do a triple build there for Sebastian
This session.
Absolutely. Just going back to Nico Muller, as we said, great to see him back out. Good job by the Andretti team in the garage to get that car repaired. But Nico hasn't set a full attack mode. He hasn't done 350 kilowatts. Not such a problem in the group stages of qualifying, but if he's fortunate enough to make it into the duels, he's a bit on the back foot, really.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's not the preparation that he would have wanted. And to be honest, it's not been really the start of the season that Nico Muller will have wanted. Looking across the other side of the garage, I mean, Jake Dennis, again, is still finding his feet this season too, but he's definitely been setting the benchmark. And Nico Muller around this paddock is someone who is seen as very highly regarded, and everyone thinks he's got a lot of raw speed and potential
going on, because they're racing in, I think, pretty much every championship with 4 wheels in America this weekend. In fact, the drivers are off to Long Beach after the weekend in Formula E here has concluded to go and support the team down at IMSA. So now just building themselves up for that temperature in the tyres and the brakes. This chicane has caught quite a few drivers out. You can see there's a big bit of runoff there on the outside. But as we said, we saw Muller just pushing the envelope. I wonder if we'll get any similar mistakes here in quali.
Well, the good thing is that he's it, and Nico just compromising his weekend a bit.
Who's that in front? How many cars is that?
In front is quite far, is Boemi, so now 8, single push, only 1 car.
So this is engineer Oliver Rowland, who we've seen quite a lot this year, where he wants to know absolutely everything about what's going on the track around him. His team have been great at communicating with him so far this season and really making sure that he's aware of what position he's in on track and how he can maximise the session.
Johan, I'm the race engineer for Oliver Rowland, sort of out of a job sometimes, it seems, sat there on the pit wall. I'm talking in loose terms, of course, because he does a very important job for Ollie. This is down into turn 6. See the wall that's been brought out to the outside tightens the trajectory of the corner. We have seen a few drivers flirting with the gravel and the grass on the outside of that and just fighting the car quite a lot going through that section on the run down into 8.
Doesn't look too bad under the heavy braking here into turn 8. A little bit. It looks good. I think he definitely looks like he's much more content in the car than he was this morning. This morning looked much more of a struggle for him.
I bumped into Russell O'Hagan, Cooper Kiro, a few moments ago before we got into qualifying. I said to him, what are you expecting to see in this session? He said, I reckon all the cars are going to stay out for pretty much the entirety of the session. Don't expect them to come in.
3.5, potato.
Copy, spot on. Mortara, P8 now. Reminder, no more gapping after 13, no more gapping.
And
okay, everyone behind you in the same sequence, 70 seconds to check it.
This is good management.
I think I'm
trying to get caught up in the games with Roland and Beckman ahead. No more gapping after T13, 60 seconds remaining.
Well, that radio was like the candle that never goes out, wasn't it? The Olympic flame. Oh, here we go again. Well, anyway, just under 40 seconds now left of this session, and these are the final lap times for the drivers coming in here in Group A qualifying. Top 4 are the ones that are going to make it through, so it's now or never time. Costa currently fastest of the lot, but he's got a lot of drivers behind him out on track. Down in towards T6 we go. Not a particularly brilliant first sector for Antonio.
Buemi really improving at this moment.
Tara got a personal best sector time there coming in. He's currently in at the moment. So is it a case of drivers who've set times early in the session or earlier than this are going to be the ones that will progress forwards? Are we going to possibly lose the championship leader Oliver Rowland from this session, and could Mitch Evans also be following him as well? Yeah, Costa's aborted this lap completely, as you can see. There's Sun Kang inside the Nissan garage at the moment. He'll be cheering on for Oliver Rowland, and let's see whether he is going to be making it through. But the timing screens just aren't lighting up at all. Checkered flag is now out, and Rowland's aborted. So Oliver Rowland is now going to be out of qualifying in the group stages. He stops off at the area after the chicane just to let a couple of drivers on quicker lap times through. Even Hughes isn't lighting the timing screens up, and look at this, it's just so congested. This is the problem in the group stages of qualifying. Buemi's looking all right in the third sector, but otherwise it's nothing really to write home about.
Cooled down before setting a lap towards the end as well.
What about Nick Cassidy? Taylor 2 halves for his weekend so far, James. Fastest in free practice 1. This morning, not quite so good for him. He was outside of the top 10.
Yeah, but this morning I start to question now if he only did 300 kilowatt laps this morning, because yesterday he was so fast in the 350, and in this this morning's session I think he just put together a 300 kilowatt lap. I'm not sure he put together a proper lap in his 350 kilowatt. But he's been looking strong this weekend, and I think also his race pace looks quite good. So it's going to be an interesting one to see if he can get this together in this session.
Well, we know the Jaguars are pretty good at cycling through the field. If you look back to Sao Paulo, lost the first challenge in real life they're done for...
and that's why we're seeing these slow build-up laps.
Down in towards the chicane. This is where it all came apart for Oliver Rowland in Group A a few moments ago. Here is his teammate Robin Freitz in the second of the Envisions, just making their way through. See what they're going to be able to do in this session. Envision, they would love at the moment, just beginning to build himself up as he makes his way through these chicanes. Now he's found that go point. He's just trying to find a bit of clear air in front of him. 11 cars out on track in this one, and a lot of these corners are so blind that traffic does become an issue. We saw a few drivers getting held up in practice.
It looks like Nick's going for it now, and there's so many cars in front of him.
And this is the problem, isn't it? You're coming through turn 3, snapping a bit of oversteer. The race engineers will be on the blower to these drivers, just saying to get out of the way, which they're able to do so. But you can see, look at him here, Billy, fighting this car all the way through these
Yeah, it really
corners.
looks like he's struggling with a bit of instability in the car there. The apex of turn 2, he missed it by a good car's whip, so I'm not sure how this first sector's looking. Actually, looking at it now, it's about 4 tenths down what we saw in Group A, so still a lot of room to improve for Nick Cassidy. It doesn't maybe look like, James, he's quite got those tyres in the right working window here.
No, I do question whether he's gone so early to try to maximise the tyre potential in the second half of the lap, or, as you said, they're just not there. He's going to have to do a cool-down lap afterwards and probably get the performance later on in the session.
So through turn 8 we go, on the run down in towards that tricky chicane where so many drivers have come a cropper this weekend. Is he able to spot his braking point? All okay. Whoa, that's a bit deep. Just about manages to gather it all up, but the lap's gone there for Nick Cassidy.
He was a very lucky boy right there to get away with that one. We've seen Nico Müller this morning hitting the wall from exactly the same chicane.
It looks like you could just see he wasn't making the apex there for quite a long time in that braking zone. He was definitely pushing the entry, like James said, and then the front of the car just didn't want to get into that first part of the apex. And very, very lucky. If he brakes a couple of meters later there, he probably ends up in the wall.
Yeah, where you've got the pit boxes and the slow lane, fast lane, and maybe it's something to do with that.
So we'll see how that all works out. On board we are, though, with Max Gunter, one of the drivers who's under investigation, coming through into turn 3. This driver's eye view giving you a real idea of how bumpy this circuit is, but also the elevation changes there as well. There's a lot of camber on the inside through turn 4. You see it pushes the car to the outside on the exit.
What I'm surprised about, no one's really set a competitive time at the moment compared to the lap times that we've seen in Group A.
Dan Ticktum's done the best first sector we've seen, and he's about 10th away from what we saw in Group A, so it seems like the start of his lap has been promising so far. Another Cupra Kiro that looks like it's in good form.
Yeah, this time in Group A we were already down into the 125s. As you can see by De Grassi's time, he's just gone to the top of the sheet. He's only in the 1 minute 33, so now we should start this session here, James.
Yeah, a great lap from Norman Nato. He's been really struggling to match his teammate Oliver Rowland so far this season, and that's a really stunning performance from him. He's clearly got no problem with the confidence on the brakes.
Yeah, nice. But again, this morning sounded frustration on the radio, just didn't seem to have the balance of the car underneath him, and well, let's see whether he's able to pull something out of the bag in the last few minutes of this session. De Vries has looked pretty handy so far this morning. He's looking pretty good here in Group B qualifying too.
Yeah, he's looking in great form. They've really made a big step, Mahindra, I think, over the break, and Nick was, I think he was third fastest this morning, and looking to continue that at the moment.
Yeah, he was third quickest this morning, and Mahindra quietly confident going into this one then. What's it going to be for De Vries as he comes to the timeline? He goes third quickest again, so a 1:24.8 pushes Verline on to the bubble. Well, Barnard out of qualifying at this stage as well.
The car has a lot of, the car is scratching the floor quite a lot.
Copy, maybe bring temperature into the front with the pressure. You can change then to push scenario.
That's textbook through that chicane there, wasn't it? Right on the edge of that higher curve on the inside.
Yeah, you'd say millimetre perfect. It looked really good and really strong from De Grassi, and I think that's translated into the lap times. Super tight, and you mentioned earlier, Tom, Taylor Barnard currently looking at not making it through into the duels.
He's been struggling for speed so far this year. They've been making huge strides forwards, and clearly the 8-week break has been very beneficial to them.
Yeah, I apologise. It was a late improvement from Robin Freitz to get himself into qualifying, not the lap time from Nick De Vries. So very, very impressive stuff for Robin Freitz. Pressure on his shoulders to deliver a strong performance for Envision, and that will give Sylvain Philippe, the team principal, something to smile about after that group stage of
That's P1 in the group.
four-wheel drive as well. So Group B concludes with Freitz, De Grassi, Nato and Nick De Vries being the drivers that go forwards. We say goodbye to Verline, Barnard and Cassidy. Ticktum also not making the cut, as well as Vern, Bird and Maximilian Günther. So no McLarens, no Verline, no Cassidy and no DS Penske's in that session. Big upsets here this morning. Let's see how they're able to turn things around.
Download and watch it live on Sport TV Now app.